Right now at 6, Carthage authorities investigate the death of a worker in an industrial accident.
And we've got ourselves a very breezy day out there. As we've mentioned, red flag warnings, wind advisories in place. We'll look at all that and that forecast to get you out the door coming up.
Plus, law enforcement agencies in Newton County are struggling to keep employees.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So it is going to be another very breezy day out there today. So you'll want to put your hair up before you leave.
I noticed that just walking into the station. It was blowing all over the place.
It's already windy this morning, and it's going to get windier yet out there. Let's take a quick look outside. This is our camera on top of the Cornell complex in downtown Joplin, and you can see the flags blowing in the breeze. Well, it's frozen up for the moment, but I assure you, they've been blowing in that breeze. This camera's been shaking in the wind on occasion. MoDOT camera 20th and range line rocking back and forth, and the wind as well. And we're not even at our peak gusts that we're expecting today. We do have red flag warnings for parts of southeast Kansas and into southwest Missouri until 9 o'clock tonight. So in these areas especially, absolutely no outdoor burning. However, even if you're not under a red flag warning, these gusts aren't going to be isolated to just this region. We really strongly encourage you to not do any outdoor burning across the entire region today. We do have wind advisories as well for this chunk of southeast Kansas until 5 o'clock, and then Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties and points east. These will run until 6 this evening, and that's because we could see wind gusts pushing upwards of 40 to 45 miles an hour out of the southwest as we go through today. Temperatures 20 degrees above where we should be. We should be in the 20s. We are sitting, well, actually, yeah, we're 30 degrees above where we should be. Either way, well above normal. Into the 50s out there right now. Kids getting on the bus. This is what we're looking at. Low 50s, partly cloudy, maybe an isolated shower or two. I think 98% of us will be dry. Winds out of the south gusting upwards of 35. And then we're going to have sunny skies this afternoon. Looking like a great day aside from the wind, but that southwest breeze sustained at 20 to 30 with gusts upwards of 45 and right around 67 when that bus brings them home. Throughout the day today, clear skies, breezy, temperatures upper 60s, pushing near 70 degrees out there, so well above where we should be for this time of year. We do have another day of wind on tap for us. We've got some rain shower chances out there and the potential maybe even for some snow showers by next week. We'll take a look at all that in the full forecast a little later. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Authorities in Carthage say a worker at a food plant died Tuesday in an industrial accident. Around 3:45 Tuesday, police received reports of a worker entrapped in a machine at the Schreiber Foods plant on Claxton Avenue. When they arrived, they found the male worker unconscious and not responsive. They called for a med flight, but before it got there, they declared the worker dead. Authorities are now investigating the incident as an industrial accident. The FBI is trying to identify victims of a cyber attack that occurred late last year. We're told that someone breached the computer files of Integris Health, which operates a hospital in Miami, Oklahoma. On Christmas Eve, many Integris patients received an email listing the specifics of their personal information. The sender asked for a $50 fee to not sell the data on the dark web. If you or someone you know received one of those emails, the FBI would like to hear from you. For more information, go to fbi.gov and click on the Victim Services tab. Spire wants to warn its customers about scammers impersonating the energy provider. Scammers posing as Spire representatives have called customers requesting a bill payment. As a reminder, Spire would like customers to know it'll never ask for payment through cash apps like Venmo. If a customer receives a suspicious phone call, they should immediately hang up and contact Spire directly. And residents in Chanute, Kansas yesterday had a chance to learn about the new VA clinic opening in Iola. With the new clinic comes the closure of 3 others in Chanute, Garnett, and Fort Scott. Yesterday's meeting isn't the only one available. There will be one today in Iola from 5:30 to 7:30 at the North Community Center. Then on Friday, there will be one at Fort Scott Community College, also from 5:30 to 7:30. The Missouri State Auditor yesterday announced plans to launch an audit of the city of Joplin. Scott Fitzgerald says it comes at the request of residents who gathered more than 2,200 signatures. The city was last audited in 2015 and received an overall performance rating of poor. The new audit will officially begin on February 20th with an entrance meeting with county officials. And the Newton County Sheriff's Office and Carl Junction Police Department are two law enforcement agencies currently being affected by a nationwide law enforcement shortage. KOAM's Anthony Saviello spoke with both agencies about why this has become an issue in our area.
Every day we rely on our law enforcement officers to keep the peace, but agencies in our area are seeing a decline in officer employment.
Since 2018, we've had 36 employees leave. 4 retired, 9 either were fired or didn't complete their training. 17 got out of law enforcement completely. Only 6 have went to other agencies. We can't compete with the private market.
Newton County Sheriff Chris Jennings is one leader feeling the strain from the lack of employees.
Right, and unless you've been married to a first responder, you're not going to understand the fear.
Heather Jensen is the wife of a police officer in Carl Junction, where police retention is also an issue. The lack of police officers there only adds on to the fear that her husband may not come home.
There's nights that I cry myself to sleep because I am afraid my husband won't come home. And I understand to the outside looking in, it's just a small little country town. But there's a lot that goes on that the public doesn't know about. They just don't, and they're not going to know because they do a good job of keeping it quiet and keeping the citizens feeling safe. But if you don't have any officers to continue to make people feel safe, what's going to happen?
Where the FBI says that a town of our size needs 15, 16 to 20 officers, and we have 11. So not only have we not been able to give raises, we haven't even been able to keep pace with what the FBI says that we should have.
Unfortunately, solutions are less than ideal.
So we're looking at maybe cutting some services in order to give raises in the short term.
One thing that each agency understands and recognizes is that this is a big problem in our area, but it's also a big problem nationwide. Reporting in Newton County, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
And in a statement released by the Department of Justice, Attorney General Garland said, quote, "We are committed to doing everything we can to support local police departments as they work to serve their communities, build public trust, and keep people safe," end quote. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, major changes are coming to the SAT this spring. We have what you need to know. Plus, the U.S. Supreme Court is deciding whether former President Donald Trump is eligible for a second run for the White House. And Chris Warner returns with another look at your Thursday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, Tiger Woods says he is coming back to golf. The 48-year-old golfing legend will make his 2024 PGA Tour season debut at the Genesis Invitational in California. The event, which Woods will host, takes place February 15th through the 18th at the Riviera Country Club in Pacific Palisades. Woods posted on social media Wednesday that he's, quote, excited to play. His last official PGA Tour event was last year's Masters. A foot injury forced him to withdraw from the tournament. And major changes are coming to the SATs this spring. No more sitting at a desk with a pencil in hand. The test will be 100% digital. Students will take the SAT on an app called Blue Book using personal or school-provided laptops or tablets. The paper and pencil format won't be available except in rare cases. Another big change is what the College Board calls adaptive testing. The math and reading sections will each have 2 parts. A student's performance in the first part of each section will determine how hard the second part is. So if a student does poorly on the first section, the second section will be easier. The test uses difficulty level to calibrate a person's score. And the federal budget deficit is expected to soar to $2.6 trillion in fiscal year 2034. That's according to the latest Congressional Budget Office outlook released Wednesday. The major reason behind the widening gap between the revenue and spending, a spike in net interest payments on federal debt due to higher interest rates. Also, the aging population and rising federal health care costs, which will lead to more spending on Social Security and Medicare. How Congress addresses the individual income tax provisions that expire at the end of 2025 is also a factor. The projections assume the tax breaks will expire, but lawmakers are expected to extend at least some of them. And another historic day at the U.S. Supreme Court, with justices set to hear a landmark case on whether former President Donald Trump is eligible for a second run for the White House. At question is whether his actions in the lead up to January 6 disqualify him based on a Civil War-era 14th Amendment clause. This is the first time since the Bush versus Gore decision in 2000 that the High Court has been thrust into the center of a presidential election, with major implications from the current GOP frontrunner. CBS News correspondent Michael George has more on what to expect and what's at stake for New York.
The line began forming yesterday into the night outside of the U.S. Supreme Court, where the 9 justices will hear oral arguments today on whether former President Trump is eligible to stay on the 2024 ballot.
This is a landmark decision, and I want to be in the room where it happens, to quote Hamilton.
The legal battle was sparked after Colorado's Supreme Court ruled in favor of a group of voters who challenged Trump's candidacy based on his actions on January 6th. They argued those actions violated Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which disqualifies officers of the United States who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion from holding office.
Once a state has said that Trump is disqualified, the Supreme Court had to weigh in. It's going to have to resolve a number of difficult legal and factual questions.
Trump's legal team argues he is not an officer of the United States as a former president, and that he did not engage in an insurrection. The justices will also be asked to consider whether state courts have the power to enforce Section 3.
They're deciding something for which there's not a lot of modern precedent, where political tensions are high.
The Supreme Court's ruling will reverberate throughout the country, with challenges to Trump's candidacy pending in over 30 states, including Maine. Michael George, CBS News.
And today's arguments come just 2 days after a D.C. federal appeals court rejected the former president's claim of broad immunity from federal prosecution as it relates to special counsel Jack Smith's election interference case. The president's team has until next week to appeal that decision. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Now here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a very windy day across the area. As such, we do have red flag warnings for parts of Kansas and into Missouri. These run until 9 o'clock tonight. So in those areas, absolutely no outdoor burning, as the fire danger is very high to extreme. We also have wind advisories for parts of southeast Kansas until 5, and then for Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties and into southwest Missouri until 6 this evening. And in all honesty, just because you're not under a red flag warning or a wind advisory does not mean it won't be breezy, and does not mean that outdoor burning will not be dangerous. We're also going to be much warmer today. We're going to have a few clouds here and there, otherwise clearing out by the afternoon with these winds gusting to 45, temperatures into the upper 60s. We'll have another full look at your forecast, including some additional rain chances and snow chances here in a few more minutes.
In Florida, it was an emotional and successful day for workers and volunteers at Blue Springs State Park. Wednesday, 5 rescued manatees were finally released back into the wild after long recoveries. Ezzy Castro was there.
1, 2, 3. A successful day for park workers and volunteers as they carried out manatees one by one into the water.
This is one of those opportunities that we all love, because we get the opportunity to see the animals that were rescued get returned back to the wild.
The first manatee, Lizzie, weighed nearly 1,000 pounds. She was rescued in 2020 and was rehabbed at SeaWorld and Columbus Zoo. Her friend on the side, Mary Kate, was also rescued 2 years ago.
It is definitely heartbreaking to find an orphan calf, because you know that something happened with its mom or there was a separation.
While the water may be cold for us humans, 72 degrees is just about perfect for manatees here at Blue Springs State Park. When Gary Diller heard about the release, he wanted to see the action up close.
I'm amazed at the conservation effort that goes on here, and I feel like we're the rescue manatee center of the entire nation, and it's wonderful what they do here.
So right before the manatees are released into the water, crews take their measurements and they also put a tracking device. But right over here, you can just see an amazing view of where the manatees hang out.
That is the most wonderful feeling in the world, to know that they are now fully wild animals and they're going to be out there helping the population.
They graduated, they can go to college.
They're done with college. They're going to get their job now.
And the release of the manatees comes a day after Florida Governor Ron DeSantis visited Blue Springs State Park. DeSantis spoke about prioritizing funds for manatee rescue. Now, here's Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves another breezy day out there. Wind advisories, red flag warnings. We'll take a look at all that in the forecast when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News 622 now on this Thursday morning, taking a live look at our camera on top of the Cornell complex in downtown Joplin. Got a few clouds out there. Otherwise, it is quite breezy across the area already this morning, and the winds are going to continue to increase as we go through the morning as well. MoDOT camera 20th and range line rocking back and forth in the wind as those breezes and those wind gusts really start to pick up across the area. We have red flag warnings for Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties in southeast Kansas, parts of southwest Missouri. These run until 9 o'clock tonight. So again, absolutely no outdoor burning, especially in the zone where we have these red flag warnings, where the fire danger is from very high to extreme out there. But even if you're not under a red flag warning or a wind advisory, we still strongly encourage you to not do any outdoor burning, because wind gusts across the entire region today are going to be very high out there. This part of southeast Kansas, wind advisories today until 5, and then for everybody else here, highlighted in this tannish color, they run until 6 o'clock this evening. And that is because we could see wind gusts anywhere from 40 to 45 miles an hour out of the southwest as we go through our Thursday. So again, if you're traveling today, especially in a high profile vehicle, one that's a little more susceptible to wind, you need to be careful. But even on my drive up here with the winds only gusting up to about 30, still, that'll catch you off guard on occasion. You've got to take it easy out there. It's going to stay breezy throughout all of our Thursday and into the overnight hours as well. Now, early Friday, some of us get a brief break in those wind gusts, but they're going to pick right back up in that 30-mile-an-hour range, once again out of the southwest as we head through our Friday across the area. Right now in Joplin, again, there's a handful of clouds out there. Otherwise, not bad. 56 degrees, and we should be about 26 degrees out there. So much warmer than where we should be, to the tune of about 30 degrees. South breeze 24, gusting upwards of 33. And again, as we go through the day, those wind gusts will increase. Temperatures around the region, again, we're about 30 degrees above normal across the entire area. Most of us right around the mid-50s. Check out Miami Grove J at 58 degrees. It's almost 60. It's more like a first or second week of May morning than a first or second week of February morning. A few clouds here and there, and again, a stray shower or two possible this morning. 98% of us won't see anything, and we're going to be in the low 60s by late morning. Highs today, upper 60s, pushing close to 70 under sunny skies. Tonight, we fall back into the mid-40s. Still breezy out there, but clear skies across the area. As we head into our Friday, some additional showers possible. Upper 60s again, mostly cloudy, breezy, falling back to normal this Sunday and Monday. Rain showers Sunday could translate into a few morning snow showers on Monday. The good news is we're not expecting really much of anything out of this, but a few slick spots will be possible Monday morning. And then if we do see anything at all, it doesn't last long. We go back to the 50s under sunny skies next Tuesday and Wednesday. Let's check your forecast, and we're sending it over to Caitlin with Health Watch.
U.S. researchers find a person's chance of survival when receiving CPR for cardiac arrest in a hospital declines rapidly the longer it lasts. The chance of survival is 22% after a minute and less than 1% after 39 minutes without the detection of a heartbeat. The likelihood of no major brain damage is 15% after 1 minute of CPR and less than 1% after 32 minutes. And a new UK study found group rehabilitation improves quality of life for patients with long COVID. An 8-week program providing online group exercise and support sessions found patients reported less fatigue, pain, and depression compared to usual care. Patients were evaluated at 3 and 12 months after treatment. Canadian researchers teamed with a Danish pharmaceutical company to discover a new cell that remembers allergies. The research could lead to better treatments for allergies, which are the most prevalent disease around the world. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, the city of Joplin begins beautification efforts by replacing invasive trees downtown.
And we've got a very breezy day out there. Again, some red flag warnings, wind advisories in place. We'll take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, medical personnel at Pitt State practice how to respond to a disaster.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:29 a.m., 6:29 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. We're going back in time again.
It gets me every time.
You haven't had any coffee, though, this morning. I heard you talking
I
about
know.
that.
I should have had that coffee.
You should absolutely have had that coffee. You folks at home probably need some coffee to get this day started, or at least some kind of caffeine to kickstart you. You got to get something. So I'll take some time. I'll take a look at the weather, run out, get some coffee.
Thank you, Chris.
I don't mean leave the building. We're in the middle of nowhere, so it's not like there's a Starbucks or a Casey's or anything right down the street. If they built a Dollar General out here, I'm telling you, this station would be there. We would be there every day.
All right.
She's not as excited about it as I am, but I think it'd be a great idea. And what else is a great idea? Well, it's a great idea to not burn anything today because we've got red flag warnings out there across parts of the area, and we've got extraordinarily gusty winds. Take a look at the MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline, rocking in the breeze. Now, keep in mind, it is firmly secured to a traffic signal pole. Now, it's zoomed in, so the shaking's a little more enhanced because it's zoomed in a little bit more, but it's shaking the traffic lights enough that camera's picking up on that. Red flag warnings again, parts of southeast Kansas, southwest Missouri, these run until 9 p.m. and wind advisories, this section of southeast Kansas until 5, and then Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties and the rest of southwest Missouri highlighted in tan until 6 o'clock, and we could see wind gusts anywhere from 40 to 45 miles an hour today out of the southwest. So I can't emphasize it enough. Even if you're not under an advisory or a red flag warning, it's still not a good idea to do any burning. And if you're driving a high-profile vehicle today, you're going to want to hold on to that wheel with both hands tightly. Right now, we are about 30 degrees above normal. Temperature sitting in the 50s across the area. And I moved to the wrong side of the screen. It's been a minute since I've done that. Kids getting on the bus, low 50s. I apparently need more coffee. South breeze, sustained winds, 20 to 25, gusting to 35 this morning. By this afternoon, we're warmer, sunny, upper 60s, southwest breeze sustained at 20 to 30 with gusts to 45. We are about 30 or so degrees warmer today than where we should be. Upper 60s pushing near 70 out there with these sunny skies. And again, maybe a stray shower or two this morning. Skywatch Storm Tracker hasn't really picked up on anything, but there may be a sprinkle or two. Otherwise, aside from the wind, a beautiful May-like day out there. We do have some additional rain chances on the way. The wind is going to hold on for a little bit, and we do have an opportunity, or at least a brief window for some snow. We're going to look at all that in the full forecast a little later. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, out with the old and in with the new, the city of Joplin is replacing the non-native calorie pear trees along Main Street as a part of a beautification project. This project is funded by the citizen-approved Proposition Use Tax and Associated Beautification Initiative efforts. City officials predict that the project will take 6 to 8 weeks. They want to plant lower maintenance and more environmentally friendly trees.
So we're replacing them with more appropriate size trees, which are smaller type trees, more appropriate for a downtown streetscape setting. So I know there's some Japanese pagoda trees, lilac trees for specifically downtown.
The city first planted calorie pear trees along Main Street in 2008. They're called a non-native tree because the species is organically from China and Vietnam. And there are nearly 400,000 people in the U.S. who go to the hospital for burn-related injuries. Most burn accidents usually involve a fire of some sort, but that is not always the case. Burns that happen in the kitchen usually stem from a person touching a hot object or liquid.
For the most part, we recommend, whether it's chemical or thermal, you're diluting the chemical. So running cool running water, you don't want ice directly on it, but just a cool running water for 5, 10, 15, even 20 minutes will greatly decrease the depth of that burn.
And thermal burns are the most common ones that you will encounter. Doctors say to run the burn under cool water for anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. Pitt State medical staff and students yesterday conducted a disaster simulation at the Irene Ransom Bradley School of Nursing. Medical personnel practice what to do in a disaster situation like the Joplin tornado of 2011. One official says the real-world aspect of the simulation appealed to her as a nurse.
In the critical care field and the nursing field, it's always been something I've been familiar with, and it's made me excited. It kind of pairs, that excitement for really detail-oriented care with like the excitement of high stress situations, and combines that with the empathy I have for people and wanting to do, help people, things like that, the natural drive of nurses.
The school plans to hold mock disasters 2 more days this semester. And you can now watch a Pittsburgh native on the big screen. Will Jewett is one of the dancers in the new Mean Girls movie. The film was inspired by the Broadway musical of the same name, which was based on the 2004 comedy film. Will's mom, Janice Jewett, is a PSU dance professor and has watched the movie 8 times already.
I didn't really feel pressure to be like good at dance or good at theater, especially from my parents, but I think that's just because they were interested in me enjoying myself, feeling fulfilled.
Will has far more talents than I could ever imagine, so I have learned more from him than he has learned from me by a whole bunch.
And this was Will's first time in a film. Soon he will be joining a Broadway show. While he still can't share details, he said he will be on the road for a year. Students at Frank Layden Elementary in Frontenac, Kansas yesterday showed off their chief spirit. Yesterday's theme was Dreaming of a Win Wednesday. Students were encouraged to dress up in their pajamas or sweats. A teacher we spoke to says days like this are great for getting kids excited for school.
Such a fun day for the kids in our community. Any Spirit Day doesn't have to just be Chiefs Super Bowl week, which is really awesome to have. It's just awesome to dress up with the kids, and it keeps us teachers young and excited to be at school, and hopefully that carries over to the kids too.
And you can see how other area schools have been celebrating Chief Spirit Week on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. We'll see why only 1 in 5 NFL fans will bet on the Super Bowl. Plus, we have another windy day. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, as many as 1 billion people around the world will watch Super Bowl 58 this Sunday, but only a tiny fraction will see the game from the stands. Thanks to new technology, CBS will bring the game to the best seats in the house, your living room. Jared Hill shows us how they'll do it from Las Vegas.
On Super Bowl Sunday, the focus is on the field. But this is how all the action gets to your screen.
See that one right there?
Jason Cohen, VP of Remote Technical Operations for CBS Sports, took us inside the belly of Allegiant Stadium. It's where this team is working round the clock to bring viewers closer than ever to the rematch between the Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers.
You don't know what moment is the most crucial moment, and
So you gotta get all of them.
You got to get all of them.
And to do it, CBS Sports is deploying 165 cameras on game day. That's sky cams, drones, augmented reality cameras. For the first time, 6 doink cams, giving unprecedented angles of field goals. And there are 20 cameras embedded in pylons at the end zone, capturing super slow motion 4K footage to help viewers analyze the closest of calls.
We can zoom in really, really tight to see was his knee down before he crossed the goal line with tremendous resolution.
Dissecting it all, 3 times as many replay machines as for a normal game.
The replay producers have roughly 17 to 18 seconds to pick which angle they want and roll those angles all before the next play.
From the CBS Sports pregame set in front of the Bellagio to the announcer booth overlooking the field. This is a nice setup.
It is.
CBS football analyst and former quarterback Tony Romo says the broadcast team is ready.
These are 2 well-coached teams. They got great design coming in, and I think this is going to be a heck of a game.
The jackpot for Super Bowl viewers. Jared Hill, CBS News, Las Vegas.
And see how all this great technology makes the game better at home than being there at the stadium on Sunday on KOAM and Paramount Plus. And more than 200 million Americans are expected to watch the Super Bowl this Sunday, but according to a new poll, only 1 in 5 NFL fans will bet on the big game. Sports betting is now legal in more than 30 states and Washington, D.C. In that same poll, only 32% said the day after the Super Bowl should be a federal holiday, with younger viewers between the ages of 18 and 29 giving the most support. Super Bowl 58 from Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada airs Sunday, February 11th on KOAM. And two of the world's most beloved children's brands have combined to create a new line of dolls. American Girl is introducing its Disney Princess collection with dolls in the image of the Little Mermaid, Ariel, Princess Tiana from The Princess and the Frog, and Cinderella. The dolls retail for $125, though you can also pick up the dresses for around $55. And Coca-Cola has unveiled a new soda, Coca-Cola Spiced. This is a raspberry flavor with a hint of, you guessed it, spice. It's the first permanent new soda flavor from the Atlanta-based beverage company in 3 years. Coca-Cola Spiced and Coca-Cola Spiced Zero will be available in the U.S. and Canada as of February 19th. A coffee shop in Indianapolis is working to provide opportunities for those with disabilities to just be themselves. Caitlin Kendall reports.
Ah, the sweet smell of coffee.
That is usually your choice.
Thank you.
And that's 3 pints.
Inside God's Embrace Coffee Shop, they're serving more than a cup of joe.
We're serving a cup of joy.
The people working here all have different abilities.
Everybody deserves the right to have the opportunity.
The mission here is to show the community that there's room for everyone to contribute their God-given gifts, showing that a disability doesn't equate to limitations.
That's partly why I like it here, because it's just forgiving.
Savina Lind says it gives her an outlet to just be her.
The people, they're no different than anyone. Yeah. They just have different problems.
They're abled in a different way. And just like, we all have, no one is perfect. We all have a disability. We just hide it better.
Colleen Simon created the space for people like her daughter Heather.
Chocolate.
And Heather has embraced the title of barista.
And I don't know how to read, but I can look on the pictures.
The space is designed to meet them where they are, help them thrive by giving them patience, time, and a whole lot of love.
I have to count 2 pounds. And there's just love in this room, in this space. A coffee.
You didn't want any creamer?
Perfect.
They serve up food too.
Okay. Having a disability is not a bad thing. They're just abled in a different way, and they see life in a different way. And they're much happier people.
By giving each of them something they're good at.
Be kind to people.
Oh, thank you.
They're ensuring everyone can succeed.
Have a nice day.
All of the proceeds from the coffee shop are going toward a future community for people with disabilities. The goal is to provide a space where they can live when their caretakers are unable. And that's it for Consumer Watch. Now here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a very windy day out there. This is our camera live look from downtown Joplin on top of the Cornell complex. We got a few clouds out there. Otherwise, a pretty decent start, a very mild start. Temperatures about 30 degrees above normal right now. MUDOC camera 20th and range lines been swaying in the breeze. Red flag warnings out there for parts of Kansas and Missouri until 9 o'clock. We also have wind advisories out there until 5 and 6 for parts of the area as well, with those wind gusts pushing about 45 miles an hour. And this is what I'm talking about, 30 degrees above normal, as we're all sitting in the low to mid 50s out there. We're having another full look at your forecast plus birthdays and anniversaries right after this. All right, time for some Thursday birthdays in the 4 states, and we're going to begin with Callie Harrison, celebrating birthday number 6. Says happy birthday from Mom, sisters, Nana, and Pops, and have a great day.
Taking it over to Girard, Kansas, happy 8th birthday to Oakley Johnson.
And over in Galesburg, Megan Pack celebrating birthday number 10. Happy birthday, Megan.
And happy sweet 16 to Briley Engel. It says here that she is smart, outgoing, respectful, and a joy to be around. We love you, MS. B from your family.
That'd probably be Miss B.
Miss B.
Yeah. There we go. We also have Grace Tatum. That's why I told you to get that coffee. Grace Tatum in Joplin, celebrating birthday number 18. Says happy birthday. We love you very much from your family.
And over in Carl Junction, happy 25th birthday to Cole Burns. Make this your day. We love you from Grandma and Grandpa.
And our neighbor in Crestline, Misty Moore, celebrating birthday number 46 today. Happy birthday, Misty.
Also in Crestline, happy 62nd birthday to Angie Edwards.
And just down the road in Columbus, Melanie Killar celebrating birthday number 67 with a great throwback picture there. Very happy birthday to you, Melanie.
And happy 71st birthday to Donnie Addis over in Oswego, Kansas.
And in Chetopa, Carl Crocker celebrating birthday number 75 says, happy 3/4 of a century from your church family.
And Richard Tinknell turned 78 today over in Cherryville, Kansas. It says, happy birthday with love from the kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids.
And we've got an anniversary in West Mineral. Walter and Kim Likert celebrating 44 years of wedded bliss. A very happy anniversary to the Likerts.
All right, and wrapping up the list, happy 6th birthday to Miracle Cleveland.
Also celebrating birthday number 6 is Granger Dean Bunce. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to Barbara Hall. Barbara is a resident at Medical Lodges in Columbus.
And a resident at the Grand Villas in Pittsburgh would be Sharon Jinks, also celebrating another year wiser. A very happy birthday and anniversary to everyone on this list. And of course, we love celebrating with you. Caitlin, how can they help us keep up these celebrations?
Well, all you have to do is send your birthdays and anniversaries to birthdays@KOAMnewsnow.com. Be sure to include pictures and any messages you want us to read out loud for you or that special someone on their big day.
And of course, we want to remind you to make sure that you meet the deadlines that are listed there on the bottom of your screen to ensure your birthday or anniversary airs at the appropriate time. All right, let's recap this forecast. Lots to talk about here. First, a look outside. Our camera on the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin got a few clouds. Beautiful sunrise. Look at these clouds moving through the sky with those gusty winds out there. MoDOT camera 20th and range line has been swaying in the breeze all morning long as well. Again, red flag warnings, Bourbon, Cherokee, Crawford counties in Kansas, parts of southwest Missouri through 9, so absolutely no outdoor burning, period, in these red flag warning zones where the fire danger ranges from very high to extreme in these areas. We also have wind advisories. This portion of southeast Kansas until 5, and then Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties, and heading into Missouri until 6. But even if you're not under an advisory or a red flag warning, still outdoor burning not recommended anywhere across the region, as winds are going to be gusty everywhere out there from the southwest, pushing 40 to 45 miles an hour as we go through today into the afternoon and evening hours. As we go through the evening and overnight, the winds actually let up a bit, still gusting around 30. And then by early tomorrow morning, for some of us at least, the winds will let up just a wee bit, but then they're going to pick back up again, gusting upwards of around 30 miles an hour out there across the area. So we've got to be prepared for that. Quick look outside again. Our camera at 7th and range line in Joplin, quite breezy. 56. We are 30 degrees above where we should be for this time of year. Got a south breeze at 24 with gusts upwards of 33, and as we mentioned, those gusts will continue to increase. Everybody around the region about 30 degrees above normal as we are sitting in the low to mid 50s, and then you get some mid to upper 50s out there as well with these gusty south winds ushering in the warmer air. As we get our day started, breezy. Again, an isolated shower or two possible. There's not been anything showing up on the Skywatch storm tracker other than a few clouds, but of course, it's not going to pick up on sprinkles, so be aware of that. But I think 99% of us will remain dry. We're going to be mostly clear through the morning as these clouds push on out of here quickly thanks to the winds. And look at this, low 60s by late morning out there across the area, so well above average. We're going to have another look at your forecast, including the 7-day and that potential for maybe some snow chances out there here in just a moment, as well as the news you need to know. And when the KOAM Morning News makes the transition over to Fox 14, which, by the way, that happens at 7 a.m., there's a jewelry store in Kansas City that's seen sales skyrocket after Taylor Swift was noticed wearing their unique ring. We'll have that story.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities in Carthage say a worker at a food plant died Tuesday in an industrial accident. Around 3:45 Tuesday, police received reports of a worker entrapped in a machine at the Schreiber Foods plant on Claxton Avenue. When they arrived, they found the male worker unconscious and not responsive. They called for a med flight, but before it got there, they declared the worker dead. Authorities are now investigating the incident as an industrial accident. Law enforcement agencies in our area have seen a decline in officer retention. The Newton County Sheriff's Office says 36 employees have left the department since 2018. Only 6 of those stayed in law enforcement. The Carl Junction Police Department has reported similar struggles in staffing. Both departments say a lack of pay and/or benefits is to blame for the loss in personnel. And they're not alone. Law enforcement is dealing with a shortage of employees nationwide. And out with the old and in with the new, the city of Joplin is replacing the non-native calorie pear trees along Main Street as part of a beautification project. This project is funded by the citizen-approved Proposition Use Tax and the associated beautification initiative efforts. City officials predict the project will take 6 to 8 weeks. They want to plant lower maintenance and more environmentally friendly trees. And that's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
All right, again, remember we've got red flag warnings, wind advisories for some of us out there. Winds out of the southwest gusting 40, 45 miles an hour. We're going to go mid-upper 60s today, pushing close to 70, so almost 30 degrees warmer than where we should be. Back into the mid-40s tonight, clear skies and still breezy, winds gusting to 30. Gusty winds continue heading into our Friday, maybe a few stray showers here and there, upper 60s. Back to normal Sunday and Monday temperature-wise, so some showers Sunday could translate into some morning snow showers on Monday. Not expecting much, but some slick spots possible, and anything we get is gone by Tuesday and Wednesday, sunny and back to the 50s.
All right. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making buffalo chicken mac and cheese balls in the Mr. Food Test kitchen.
As your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings, and they're beginning a 2-day Super Bowl residency at the Bellagio Hotel. Coming up next, Anthony Mason talks with the great Shania Twain and Donny Osmond about the privilege and competition of having a Vegas residency.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, we'll see a preview of this year's Puppy Bowl.
And Dustin Luno from the Joplin Fire Department joining us in the studio to talk about the dangers of brush fires, especially important on a day like today. That's going to wrap it up for now, though. We'll be back here tomorrow at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you today at noon.